Hello everyone. So, today's video is going to be a little different from all the other videos I've uploaded on this channel thus far. This is going to be the first video that is not a One Piece chapter reaction. And I decided to do this based on, you know what we're kind of getting into based on the title. But I wanted to do this because at the end of 2024, I made a list. I made a list of my predictions for One Piece, the One Piece manga specifically, in 2025. And I still have it saved and everything. And I was going to look at it on my own time just to kind of like review it for fun. But I decided, you know what, I might as well make a video out of it because this channel is very much was created, and I'm making videos for this channel for archival purposes, just so I can look back in the future and see all my reactions to, all these moments in One Piece and kind of capture that on camera. And so this kind of goes along with that idea, right? It's keeping up with my current, thoughts and predictions and looking back. So it's a snapshot into like just a specific point in time. And I plan to do this in the future, right? This is going to be an annual thing. So I just thought it'd be fun as well. And I made a list for 2026. So this video, I'm going to cover all my predictions for 2025 that I made, a year ago. And then I'm going to go over my 2026 predictions. And I'm just going to kind of talk about them just off the cuff. I'm just going to look at the list and kind of just discuss them. In terms of the predictions for 2025, I'll just talk about, what I was going through, what was going in my head through that, making that decision to make that prediction. Seeing, if it even happened, right? If the outcome even happened. And yeah, so that'll be that. And then the predictions for this year, for 2026, I'll just talk about them, go through them, and kind of my thought process for each prediction. So, and I believe I also have a stocks list, which, if you don't know, I made this list of basically characters in One Piece in 2025 that I would predict would have the most importance, I guess, kind of ranked. I don't know if I ranked it, but I put a bunch of characters that I thought, oh, these characters are going to pop off this year. I didn't do that for 2026, and I probably won't, but I have that for 2025, so I might as well do that too. So, and by the way, I have not looked at the 2025 list predictions since I made it, I'm pretty sure. I see the first prediction right here just because it's like previewed. But I don't think, I haven't even, I might have looked at it once, like a couple weeks after I made it, but at most I've not looked at it in like almost a year. So here we go. We're going to do, we're going to look at this. So, oh, it actually says when I made it. I just realized I made this on December 26th, 2024. That's when I made the predictions list for 2025, and then I made the character stocks list on December 31st, 2024. So, okay. So start off with the 2025 predictions. Predictions for the One Piece manga 2025. I made 10 of them. Okay. So, and these are not in ranked. I don't think these are like ranked where like 1 is the most likely and 10 is like the least likely. I think it's just a list, right? Not ranked. Number 1, Loki is freed. See, this is a tricky one because he's not fully free yet, but he was half freed, right? At this point, to my knowledge, Loki still has one more shackle on his leg, I think. So he's not fully free yet. So do I count that? I'm gonna say no, because in my head, when I was making this, predictions list, when I said Loki is free, when I typed that up, in my head I was like, okay, he's gonna be freed and he's gonna have access to his devil fruit, right? Because he's not gonna be, cuffed with sea prism. He's gonna use his devil fruit. So that was what I was imagining in my head. Whereas in reality, he's almost freed. Almost. He still has one more shackle. He can't use his devil fruit yet. But he did use Ragnir, right? We saw that little kind of use of Ragnir in the beginning of the year. So, but I'm not going to count it. So that was Loki's freed. It was a solid prediction, right? But, Oda went a little, Oda went a little unique direction for that. So that's prediction number 1. Prediction number 2, Loki devil fruit reveal. Okay, this is interesting. So, as of recording this video, by the way, there's already one chapter out for 2026. So chapter 1170, I'm not counting that in my sort of consideration for these. If I'm saying which one of these I got right, I'm not counting 1170. Even though I read that in 2025 because it was leaked early, but 2026 first official chapter is 1170. So I'm not using that. So we can't use any of the recent stuff we saw with Loki and you know, he ate the fruit. I mean, we still don't even know what it is, even if I did count it. So, but at least I don't have to worry about, you know, technicalities for that. Yeah, but no, this is straight up no, we didn't get it. Obviously, my mindset was the first prediction. I said Loki's gonna be freed. Therefore, second prediction, double fruit reveal. That did not happen. So, yeah, so we're not gonna count that. So got that wrong. Decent guess though. Number 3. Oh, this one hurts. Aruj will come back. Aruj comes back. That's what I wrote there. That didn't happen, right? That didn't happen, unfortunately. This was, let's see. So when I made this predictions, I believe, when I made this list, it was at the end of it was the 26th of December, 2024. I believe we were in early LDAF. We were like chapter 1134, maybe. I think it might have been either the most recent chapter released up to that point might have either been the chapter where the God's Knights arrive on the island, like at the end of the chapter. That was chapter 1134, where they arrive through the abyss, right? The abyss pentagram in Aura's castle, and we see that kind of at the end of the chapter with Shanks, right? Half of his face. Shamrock, right? Or I say Shanks because I thought it was Shanks, right, at the time. Or everyone kind of, you know, it's made to seem like it's Shanks, but it was Shamrock. So that was the most recent chapter. So we weren't far into Elbaf, right? We were just kind of getting into the swing of things. So that's why I made this prediction, right? Because we were still very early on, so lots of possibilities there. But yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, Aruj is a character that a lot of people, including myself, have been waiting for to do something, right? Aruj is one of those supernovas that honestly was the one that intrigued me the most, I would say, out of, you know, aside from Kid, Law, and obviously Luffy and Zoro. I'm not going to count them. They're the main characters, right? Part of the main cast. But out of all the supernovas, aside from, you know, Kid and Law, Aruj was definitely like Aruj, Drake. Those were kind of the two that I was the most keen on learning more about, as opposed to, I know some people say Hawkins, right? They were most interested in Hawkins. I was most interested in Aruj and Drake, right? And kind of those characters. But, and, you know, Aruj, you know, I don't know what Oda's cooking, right? And I thought Elbaf was going to be a good opportunity to maybe, you know, make him come back in the story, have this be like his arc, right? When I say his arc, I mean in the sense that, in the same way that Whole Cake was Beiji's arc, and then, you know, Egghead was Bonnie's arc. But even then, those two, like, for Beige and Bonnie, those two, not very equal, right, in terms of, like, their involvement, different levels of involvement, but essentially an arc where Aruj is a side character, or a prominent side character in it, right? I thought Elbaf was going to be like that, but, and because of that, I thought, you know, Elbaf might have to do with, you know, the, you know, Sky people, Skypiea, some stuff like that. That's kind of why I included them on here. But funnily enough, if that last chapter where I made this prediction list was the chapter with Shamrock and Gunko arriving, it's funny because that kind of signaled that it wasn't going to be like that, because that shows that that the God's Knights were going to be sort of the antagonists of the arc. And which is not, you know, Skypiea stuff. So that already, like, kind of points away from the direction of Aruj, but he still could have been involved, but he didn't, right? And at this point, he's not. Yeah, I don't as much. I will continue to keep doing the prayers at the beginning of every chapter reaction, right, for Aruj. But like ultimately, like if we want to be real, I genuinely don't think he's not gonna appear in this arc, right? He's not gonna play a role in this arc. Unfortunately, I still think he's going to play a role in the future. For sure, 100%. I think he's going to... I still think Oda's going to cook something for him, at least, right? At minimum, he's going to play like a supporting role in the final war. At minimum, right? I've always had the idea where, like, at minimum, Oda will just have him as a part of the like Skypiea, Islands faction of the Final War. So along with Wiper and like, all the Shandians, whatever they're doing, Aruj is gonna like meet up with them, and Aruj is gonna assist in whatever they're doing. And and then obviously that depends on how important they are as well. If you want to talk about Aruj's importance, but in my head, I don't think the Sky. I mean, they're going to be important, but like at the same time, I think they're just going to be doing stuff on the side. We might have a chapter or two dedicated to them, and then that's it, right? That's what I think at minimum Aruj is going to serve as, and at most, he's going to be a major character that actually interacts with the Straw Hats, and we get to learn some really cool stuff about him, and maybe ties with Enel. I hope. I hope it's the latter. But I still think at minimum it's going to be something like, the former, where he's like part of a faction in the Final War, but he doesn't, get that much spotlight. I still think he's going to have spotlight in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah. So that was a long-winded kind of discussion of that, of Aruj coming back. But yeah, I got that prediction wrong. Number 4, Heaven/Astral Realm reveal. Nope. We're like 0 for 4 right now. So we did not get that. Yeah, as I said, at this point, we did know what the Heaven/Astral Realm was, right? I believe that was revealed in chapter 1132. The one where, the Straw Hats are on, the Great Eric, and they're going on the Rainbow, really great double page spread there. And then after that, Brogy, I think, explains, the different tiers and the different areas in Elbaf. But we still haven't seen anything about the Heaven and Astral. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't even gotten anything about it in the flashback. Not even a mention of it, right? Like, I'm very surprised about that. So, like, at this point, I guess, I don't know. Like, my prediction now in terms of its role in the arc is it's gonna be something for the post arc. Like, we're gonna visit it in like the post Elbaf chapters or whatever, and it'll have some significance obviously, but it won't play a role in like the actual main events of the arc. It could play a role in the climax, like right now. I mean, to be fair, we're not in the present yet as of recording this video, so we could move the fight there or some of the fight moves there, but like, again, we haven't established anything about that place, so it'd be weird if we just went there now. But I don't know, maybe we go back up to the Sun Realm, and we see that Emu and his troops have all, they're all, some of them are in the Heaven Realm, and we have to go to the Heaven Realm. I don't know. So it could be something like that, but I'm more leaning towards the idea that it's going to be safe for the end of the arc. Maybe Gabon, whatever Gabon's going to tell us at the end of the arc, because he did say that. He said before, the Gods Knights and all that was made apparent to, the main characters, Gabon's like, yo, Luffy, when you leave Elbaf, when you're gone, whenever that happens, come see me before you leave. So that means he's going to probably tell us something. Maybe he'll take us to the Heaven Realm or something. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on that. Obviously got that prediction wrong. Not a bad prediction, though. Not a bad prediction. Number 5, Elbaf silhouette reveal. Okay, we got this right. This refers to Gabon, because Gabon was obviously silhouetted for some time in early Elbaf, kind of also end of Egghead, chapter 1124. But yeah, we got his reveal. It was Scopper Gabon. Again, I didn't even say, Gabon reveal question mark. I just said Elbaf silhouette. I might have had Gabon in my head as a prediction, along with Shiki, but I didn't put it on here, I guess, because I wanted to be right, probably. I didn't want to be too specific and just get it wrong. So I just said Elbaf silhouette reveal, which we did, which, nice. Don't have too much to say about that. Number 6, revolutionaries make a move. Now, I believe this prediction was based off of maybe the Jump Festa Oda message from 2025, which I think that message had the thing about, like fights going out, like fights happening out at sea. I'm pretty sure that was the message with those words. And I believe this and these, I see the next couple predictions are based off of that. So, I mean, all in all, I'm still going to consider it wrong because we don't know. But there is the Holy Land, right? The Holy Land is in flames. Emu's, that's what Emu said when they took over Gunko's body on Elbaf. So something's happening in the Holy Land. Could be the revolutionaries, could be Blackbeard, could be, Shanks. I don't fucking know. So Yeah, but it's not confirmed, right? We don't know. Even if it was the revolutionaries, we still don't know. So I'm still going to count it as wrong. But yeah, I think it was decent. I mean, in terms of if I do think it's the revolutionaries, I don't know. I don't know, man. To be honest, like, um, it could be. It'd be kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. At the same time, it feels weird if the revolutionaries do like a large scale invasion like now. A part of me feels like I don't know because Dragon did say like when the Holy Knights mobilize, but like um a lot of people interpret that statement as like when the Holy Knights are released. When they're like released into the wild, then while they're gone, we can sneak in the Holy Land. But I more so interpreted Dragon's statement as when the Holy Knights are mobilized and they're like sent out to like do shit like directly and they encounter us, like that's when the real fight begins. Not, oh, they're going to mobilize, they're going to leave somewhere else, and then that's our opportunity to strike. That's kind of how I interpret it, but yeah, I don't know. The revolutionary, it could be, I don't know, but I'm still not going to count this as correct. So, moving on, number 7, Blackbeard makes a move. So, essentially, same sort of prediction, right? I'm just literally same wording as well. I'm like, one of these factions are going to make a move. Again, Blackbeard didn't make a move in, yeah, he didn't, right? We got we got Blackbeard stuff in God Valley, but not present day Blackbeard makes a move. So, gonna count that as wrong as well. And number 8, Cross Guild makes I literally made like 3 of the same sort of predictions in a row, and all of them were wrong. So, yeah, obviously Cross Guild didn't make a move either. So, check that off as wrong. And number 9, Impale Down Breakout 2.0. What I'm starting to. Why did I make the 8 and 9 2 different predictions? Like those, I feel like I was talking about the same thing in those. I mean, I guess I wanted to like be safe, but I don't know. I've always had the assumption that Cross Guild is going to be the ones to do the they're going to be the ones to do the breakout of Impel Down, like breakout 2.0, I guess. But that didn't happen. Obviously, I still think that could happen. Honestly, I still think that could happen post Elbaf. Right, some chapters dedicated to that. Doesn't even have to be. It could just be 2 chapters. It could be 1 chapter if I'm being honest. It doesn't have to be that long, but yeah, like that didn't happen. As simple as that. I still think it could though. So, and number 10, Enel comes back. Oh my god, these predictions were not good, dude. But yeah, Enel comes back. Again, the same sort of vein as a Rouge coming back. It's a character that I still think is gonna come back, or at least, here's the thing. I'm more confident about a Rouge coming back than Enel, if I'm being honest. But but I still think Enel probably could come back, right? And again, I sort of I don't have these two like back to back on the list, but in my head at that time, I was thinking, right, whenever if a Rouge comes back, then Enel's probably gonna come back. Because again, as I said, I do think Enel's less likely to return than a Rouge if we look at them individually. But the way I've always pictured it is that a Rouge and Enel are connected, and if a Rouge is likely to come back, then like Enel comes as like a package deal, right? So that's kind of how I view it, and so that's why I kind of made that prediction. And he didn't come back, right? Looking at 2025, he wasn't even involved at all. So again, still think he's going to come back similar to a Rouge, but didn't happen in 2025 in Elbaf. So those were my predictions for 2025. Overall, I got one. I only got one right. It was the Elbaf silhouette reveal. That's crazy. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, moving on to 2025 One Piece stocks. So actually, now that I think about it, these are ordered. These are ordered. Number 1 is the character that I think is going to do the most important stuff or get the most dedicated to them, and then you'll go down the list, right? We'll start at number 10. Number 10, Enel. Yeah, I think I put Enel on number 10 just because, again, I wasn't too confident in him showing up, so I wanted to be kind of safe, but at the same time, I wanted to, have a little fun with the list, so I put him on there. But yeah, number 10 didn't show up at all, so no stocks whatsoever. A Rouge, I put him at number 9. Again, that same sort of, idea. I'm not really confident in him showing up, but it'd be cool to put him on the list. So I put him kind of towards the bottom. Didn't show up either, so That's not great. Buggy, oh my god, this is so bad. Number 8 is Buggy. Yeah, Buggy again. Cross Scale didn't do anything this 2025. So okay, and then Dragon at number 7. Number 7, Dragon. Again, same thing. Didn't even show up. Didn't even do anything. Well, he did show up in the. Oh, wait. Dragon did show up in the flashback. Now, the reason I didn't immediately say that was because, again, I'm thinking of myself thinking about making this list a year ago. In my head, I was thinking about present day Dragon, but Dragon did show up in the flashback, and I am gonna count that, right? It seems like a technicality, but I am going to count that. I feel like that does count because we're talking about characters, right? We're not talking about a specific prediction where Dragon makes a move in present day, and I'm like, Dragon made a move in the past. No. I just said Dragon stocks and in general. So even if I was thinking present day Dragon, I'm still going to consider flashback. Yeah, Dragon did some stuff. He's only number 7 on this list, which honestly isn't bad. I think that's not a bad position for him to be in on my list. But yeah, some stocks there, right? You the stuff in God Valley, Shanks, Shamrock. Yeah, great stuff. I mean, yeah, I love Dragon on God Valley. So I'll count that. I'll count that as sort of a win. Number 6, Hyruden. Yeah, I put Hyruden on this list. I think at the time, if you asked the community what they thought about Hyruden, I feel like most people would kind of toss him on the wayside. But at this point, he was revealed to be the whatchamacallit. He was revealed to be the brother of Loki, right? Well, half sibling, right? But he was revealed to be like at least related to Loki. So that's in my head. Gears started turning. I was like, yo, this guy's gonna be important, right? Way more important than people think. And I was right. Right? We haven't seen Hyruden do much in the present, and I do think Hyruden's gonna pop off in the present, with Emu and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, we got some significance. I mean, we got to learn kind of more about his dream, in terms of, he wants to, unite all the giant tribes, be king of the giants, which he mentioned in Dressrosa, but now we kind of have more context for that. His interactions with Loki, his stuff in the flashbacks. So yeah, definitely lots of Hyruden stuff. And yeah, that's definitely a win, in terms of like stocks. Number 5, we have Frankie. So, oh, wait. I was blanking right now. I was like, Frankie. Frankie didn't do much, and he still hasn't done much, but he was the character that was looking at the mural, right? The Harley text. He did look at the mural in that amazing, double page spread on chapter 1138, right? I think it was. But yeah, Frankie was there. He was I think he figured out that it was Adamwood, right? I think maybe Ripley told him. So he was doing stuff, like he was off on his own. He was doing his own thing, which I would say is stocks, right? He's getting his own little personal adventure. He kind of had that in Elbaf, which was fun. Then he saw the lab, right, with the 3,000-year-old lab with Ripley and Vegapunk and Lilith Vegapunk and Bonnie and all of them. So that's that. Hey, I don't know. I don't think I'd put him as much stocks. I don't think I'd put him over Hyruden in terms of stocks, but yeah, Frankie got some stuff. Blackbeard, put him at number 4. Blackbeard didn't even show. Oh, wait. No. Again, same thing as Dragon. I'm going to count this. Come on. Blackbeard in the flashback, baby Blackbeard. Baby Blackbeard didn't do much, but he was there and he was important, right? Because Eris was protecting him. Rox was trying to protect him. So I'm going to count that. That's some good stuff for Blackbeard there. I don't think I'd put him above. Would I put him? He's a pretty important character. I don't know. I think he's fine there as number 4 on the stocks list. But yeah, that's some stocks there for Blackbeard for sure. Usopp, number 3. Okay, so I was being bold with this prediction for Usopp because, I don't know. I still have faith in Usopp. I still think he's going to do something in the climax. But obviously, when I was making this list, I thought, Usopp's going to be, everywhere in the arc. But I didn't anticipate a 6-month, flashback to, happen in this arc where we don't get much of stuff from the present. So that obviously affected Usopp's stocks and Usopp doing stuff. But I still think he's going to do stuff. In terms of what he got, I guess, before the flashback, he smacked Jarl in the head, right? He smacked the sword. He was drinking. He got the nice moment with Dorian Broggy. He was like, Dorian Broggy, snap out of it, right, when they were Domi reversing. But other than that, that's pretty much it. He did get beat up by Gunko as well. So, he did show up. He did some stuff, kind of, but hopefully, and I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I'm somewhat confident that Usopp's gonna get some stuff in the. At least I hope. And the first thing that has to happen is he needs to be freed from his restraints. So that's Usopp. Was being a bit bold in that prediction, but so it's not much of a win, really. But he did show up, right? Unlike Buggy or Rouge or Enel. Number two, I wrote Stabs. So Stabs refers to the name that I referred to Shamrock as before his name was revealed. Because again, I guess this proves at the time I made this list, right? We got that reveal of the Shanks, right, at the end of the chapter, right, in 1134. And obviously people were quickly to, theorize that maybe this is the twin, right? Twin theories had already existed before then, but this was like adding to that. And I bought into it and I was right. But yeah, I called them Stabs. Because we didn't have a name. This was funny, but we didn't. This is definitely a shakeup because you'd think, right, he's going to be very important, and this is not a bad prediction in terms of stocks, but unfortunately, Shamrock left relatively quickly, right? He had the whole stuff with Loki, and that was great. I really like that, but he was quickly called back to Marie Joie, assuming, I'm assuming because he needs to deal with the fire, the flames, right? In the Holy Land, I'm assuming he's dealing with that. So that's why he had to be called back. But clearly Oda's saving him for the future stuff. I don't think he wanted Luffy to meet him yet, necessarily. So, yeah, he left very quickly. Very tragic, very disappointing. But, and I put him that high on the list because it's not my fault, dude. Like, oh, by the way, I got the One Piece merch right now because it's freaking cold. It's freaking cold right now. But, yeah, Stabs, Shamrock. It's not a bad prediction. He literally showed up at the end of 1134. It makes it seem like he's going to be the main antagonist, but he wasn't. He just left quickly. Very hard to predict that, but he got some stuff, but definitely doesn't deserve to be number 2 on the stocks list. And number 1, finally, Loki. This is pretty deserved, kind of, I guess. We got some Loki stuff. We got, the Loki stuff with Shamrock. Loki being free, Loki using Ragnar, Loki telling this story, and we get Loki stuff in the flashback. And he wasn't as, the most prominent character in the flashback, but we got a lot of stuff about Loki, right? We learned quite a bit about Loki. Not everything, we still don't know his devil fruit, but I would say this is still deserved. And this is a very, makes sense as prediction at the time, Loki chapter 1130, when that came out, crazy stuff, and he's still going to be one of the most important characters. Probably the most important character in Elbaf, aside from, Luffy and stuff. But yeah, that's, those are my stocks for 2025. So not great either. Better than the predictions, though, right? Dragon, Frankie, Hyruden, Blackbeard. Not really Usopp. Stabs, aka Shamrock. Not really great either. And Loki. Great stuff for Loki. So it's kind of mid, but whatever, right? Moving on. Okay, this is exciting. 2026 predictions for One Piece, for the One Piece manga. So here we go. I wrote these a couple days ago. I didn't spend too long thinking about this. I kind of made this list very quickly, but I think we'll just keep it like how it is now. I have 10 predictions because I was trying to think back like how many predictions I made for 2025, and I was right. It was 10. I didn't want to look at it because I wanted to save it for this video, like reacting to it the first time after making it initially. But okay. Number 1, my number 1 2026, and these are not in order, by the way. This is just a list, so it's not in order. So just the first prediction I have, Loki and Luffy will fight Emu together. So, yeah, that's, it's a pretty basic prediction, but I do think that's how it's going to work. I think, Loki and Luffy will fight Emu together because Luffy still hasn't, we haven't seen Luffy test out what Gabon said, right? Be mindful of the way you use Kakurosaki, and it now seems like Gabon was just referring to coding, right? Which Luffy already knows, so I'm wondering how that's going to play out, but also Emu's a very Emu Gunko, right? Emu Gunko's body, it seems like they're going to be using very, tricky abilities and stuff. And Luffy's main weakness is tricks, right? Luffy cannot handle tricks very well. So I even if Luffy does know how to use Conqueror's Coding, and he'll just try using it, and he'll do damage, but I don't think uh, I don't think it'll be enough. I think Loki will, and Loki's got to do something, right? And I don't think he's going to be relegated to like, just taking out Domir Reverse Seed giants or whatever, right? I think he's going to help Luffy and take out Emu, or at least damage them together. Um, I think that makes sense, right? Loki's too important. Luffy's the main character, so yeah, that's sort of my thought process for that prediction. Pretty confident in it. Pretty confident. That's why it's so specific. Number two, though. Let's move on to number two. This is kind of related to Gunko in some sort of way. So, number two, Gunko is freed by Brook playing a song. Bonus points if it's Big Sake. So, yeah, this essentially is my prediction on how they're going to defeat Gunko Emu. Like, I don't think Emu's going to be defeated. Like, obviously, right? Emu, there's going to be way more stuff we're going to have to get with Emu in the final war and all that. But in terms of how we defeat them, I think Loki and Luffy will damage them, right? It'll be a fight. Like, they will be the main fighters and they will deal damage. But I think ultimately, Emu's going to be dealt with by Brook, right? Brook, I think, because we've already seen Gunko get her memories back just by like thinking and seeing of Brook, like that seeing Brook, that already is triggering some stuff in her head. So imagine if Brook is playing a song that he played to Gunko. Again, bonus points if it's Big Sake. So that's like at a side thing. So even if it's not Big Sake, I still think it's going to be a song, right? It could be if it's not Big Sake, it's probably an original song, which would be very cool if I would have made a new song that Brook played for Gunko. But it also makes sense if it's Big Sake, because in that little flashback thing we got of Gunko and Brook said it's always been my dream to be a pirate, right? And Big Sake is literally the pirate song, so it would make sense if he played it to her in the past and now he's playing it in the present to free her. It just makes sense. I think I'm pretty confident in that prediction. I'm less confident than the first one, than the prediction of the first one, but I'm still pretty confident in that. That's how Gunko is going to be freed, by Brook. So yeah. Number three, Usopp does something. Yeah, I kept this very vague, right? Because again, I don't know. Again, I'm so confident Usopp's going to do something, but at the same time, there's part of me that's like, I don't know. Because the worst part about this right now, and actually, I mean, this goes into a larger discussion. I won't like touch too much on it, but Elbaf's been great. Elbaf has been a great arc. The only like low points I would say is that stretch of chapters of the 1140s, right? From basically when the nightmare creatures were first summoned to the chapter where Emu arrives and possesses Gunko. Between those chapters, probably the worst stretch. Not bad. It doesn't mean, oh, that's a bad stretch. It was not bad. It still had some great moments, good stuff. Like, I like the Ronya stuff. I like the Robin stuff. I like the Loki stuff, right? I think in those chapters he, smacked the Atom Tree with Ragnar and all that. So those were cool moments, but very much those chapters, it was a lot of Oda moving, the characters around, like, chess pieces on a chessboard and getting them into place, right? We had, giants are, we get multiple panels and action shots of, giants slashing away at the nightmare creatures, and then, oh, Gabon's arrived, yay, we have backup, and it's like, all right, come along, kids, and like very much getting everything into place, and kind of it felt like everything was kind of in the motions, just going through the motions and all that, which every arc has those moments. And again, it wasn't bad, but that was kind of probably the lowest point in Elbaf, before the flashback, but after all the beginning stuff. And you could talk about the first 3 chapters in Legoland. Those were just 3 chapters. I'm fine with it, right? Like, it's not the most interesting stuff, but it was a prologue. It was a prologue, basically. I would still consider those 1140 chapters to be even less enjoyable than the first 3 chapters. I don't know if that's a hot take, but so Elbaf's been great, right? But I am afraid, my biggest fear with the arc right now is that that I guess it being too predictable. I guess because right now my view of the arc right now is Luffy and Loki are gonna fight Emu in Gunko's body. Sanji will fight Summers probably. I didn't make those predictions, by the way, the Sanji fight of the Zoro fight, but if you want my predictions, right, I think Sanji's gonna fight Summers, Zoro's gonna fight Killingham, and obviously all the new giant warrior pirates will probably, try to pacify and save or fight off the Domi Reversi giants. Brook will free Gunko, Emu will have to go back to the Holy Land, and then, the day is saved. That's kind of my view of the climax in my head, and I'm kind of afraid that it's just going to play out like that and essentially be too predictable, slash that's basically all that's going to happen, right? That's my biggest fear. It's just, that everything I just said, that being the only thing essentially that's going to happen, right? Obviously, there's little tiny things that could happen, between there, but my biggest fear is if it's just, everyone, those characters that I mentioned get their 1v1s or they just fight and then we save the day. Because I didn't mention the Straw Hats. I guess this is also part of my fears, is that the Straw Hats are not freed. If the Straw Hats stay restrained, right, all of them, I mean, Frankie is not restrained right now, so we'll probably see Frankie doing something. But if everyone else, right, freaking Jinbei, Nami, Robin, Usopp, Chopper, no, not actually Chopper. Okay, when I say the Straw Hats, I don't even mean all the Straw Hats. I mean the Straw Hats that are restrained right now. If those characters stay restrained, and the only characters that kind of do stuff are the Monster Trio and the other giants, and they just, casual, they fight back and then they save the day, that'll be a little bit disappointing. I'm hoping the climax is a lot more complex than that. I'm fine if what I mentioned does happen, but I hope there's a lot more moving pieces. I hope a lot of characters, like, again, I hope, that's where the Usopp thing comes in, because Usopp is restrained right now. Hopefully, Usopp and those other Straw Hats are released from their restraints and they actually do something, right? Especially Usopp, right? If the other characters don't do something, like, I don't give a shit. I really care about Usopp right now. So yeah, that's kind of my discussion on my fears of Elbaf, the Elbaf climax, and Usopp doing something kind of has to do with that. So that's my prediction there. Number 4, Loki does not join the crew. I'm pretty confident in this. I don't think Loki's going to join the crew. I know Luffy asked him, right? He said, join my crew, man. But that was mostly as a way to, get Hiruden to release it from his chains. But at the same time, it's Luffy, and Luffy definitely has a positive opinion on Loki. But at the same time, like, I just don't think he's going to join, right? How's he going to fit on the ship? It feels like most of his kind of character, like, through line and work is going to be, serving Elbaf and being the king, or at least just staying in Elbaf, not kind of like Yamato, right? Not joining the crew, which, yeah, I think his chances of joining the crew are honestly bigger than Yamato's chances of joining the crew, if you want to say my opinion on that, but I still think he's not going to join the crew. Yeah, he's no shot. He's not joining the crew. Number 5, though, is kind of similar prediction. Vivi reunites with the crew. I think, if I want to be very confident in this, I think Vivi is going to reunite with the crew very, very soon. But here, my prediction, I'm saying Vivi reunites with the crew this year. In 2026, I think it's when it's going to happen. I didn't specify on Elbaf, which is actually a good thing, but in my head, I'm like, I think it's going to be on Elbaf. I think post Elbaf, I think Vivi's going to come back, because we had the thing at the beginning of the arc with, the X mark on the newspaper, and, the Straw Hats that don't really know about the X mark are the ones who saw the newspaper. So instead of Oda just catching up all the Straw Hats that didn't see the newspaper and showing them the newspaper, I think it'd just be better and more likely that Vivi just comes in now, right? And then that whole X thing with the X mark on the newspaper was sort of just a tease for that. And then Vivi comes in with Morgan's probably, but yeah, I think Vivi's going to reunite with the crew. She's going to be very vital in the final war, and I think it's time. It's time for her to come back. Vivi is the only character that will she's already a Straw Hat. She's like a half Straw Hat, right? Because Oda, I think calls her member 5.5, like in SBSs and stuff. But she's going to reunite, right? Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that. It's going to be great. Oh, I'm waiting, dude. That's going to be such a good moment, dude. Holy shit. If that does happen, I'm very excited for that. Yeah, so number 6, moving on. The Revs are attacking the Holy Land. So this is my prediction. It's the Revs. Again, if I thought about this, making this list a little longer, I probably would have maybe said Blackbeard, but I'm going to keep this as the Revs. I just think, yeah, I mean, they're already, like shortening the food supply and dealing with that. So I definitely like, okay, if it's the Revs and Blackbeard, if that's what's revealed, I'm still going to count this as getting it right. But for now, I'll just say the Revs. Not too much to say about it. Really, just making a prediction. Very simple prediction there. Number 7, the final war begins. Now, this is pretty big. I do think the final war is going to begin this year. I think it's going to begin this year. It's going to start after Elbaf. I think post Elbaf, like at the very, very end, like actually once probably we're sailing out of Elbaf, whatever's happening in the Holy Land, that is going to be the catalyst for the final war. Because we know the final war's coming, right? We know it's going to be, that's the end of the series, and we're already here. But the question I've always had in my head before Elbaf is, how is it going to start? Because we know it's going to happen, but how is it going to start? Is Emu just going to start like fucking genociding people or using the mother flame how's it going to start? But once it was revealed that the Holy Land was in flames, I'm like, oh, that is easy. That's the catalyst. That is easy. That's Oda making sure that there is a catalyst for this war, and that's what it is. So, yeah. So I do think it's gonna begin after Elbaf, right? I don't think there's not gonna be after Elbaf. There's not gonna be a single traditional island arc in One Piece ever. I think Elbaf's the last traditional island arc. We can still visit islands like Lodestar, but even then, I don't think the arc's gonna be very long. That'll mostly be a setup arc if it is, if it is true. But yeah, I think the war's beginning. Like again, I think it's gonna be like kind of like a Summit War Saga thing where we're gonna have multiple mini arcs like building up to the war, but instead the Straw Hats are actually all here. But yeah, I do think final war is gonna begin after Elbaf. Like it has to. It literally has to. There's no point in waiting. So that's my prediction there. Number 8, Arouge and Orinel returns. Again, not much to say here. I just wanted to throw this in just because I thought it'd be fun. Because, yeah, maybe, I mean, they didn't show up in Elbaf, so every time they don't show up, I feel like, it's more and more likely that they'll show up. So, yeah, just very vague prediction, but they'll return. This is for this year, too, so I don't know if that's a great prediction, but, I just put it on there. Number 9, Sanji gets Conqueror's Haki. I'm pretty confident in this, right? If Sanji's set up to fight Summers, he has to deal with him in some way, so he's going to get Conqueror's Haki, right? And we know that's their weakness. So that's a very logical way of putting it. But I don't know, just vibes, right? He's Luffy's left wing, man, just like Scopper was. Scopper Gaban has Haki, Conqueror's Haki. Like, I don't know, like a lot of people, talk about, Sanji and Zoro are different. Zoro has it for a reason. Sanji doesn't have it for a reason. And I agree for the most part, like, I guess maybe before, like in arcs previously, but now, yeah, it just feels right if Sanji gets it. Like, it just feels right. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm pretty confident in that Sanji will get Conqueror's Haki in Elbaf, like, in this fight. That's why I put it in this list of predictions. And number 10, someone dies. this guy, I don't know. I think I was running out of things to say, so I just put this as number 10 just because, right? Just make a wild prediction. Someone is going to die. Anyone's going to die in 2026. Yeah, very vague. Am I going to count this if like a random fodder giant or marine soldier dies? Maybe, honestly, I said someone dies, so if you see someone die on screen, I'll maybe count it, but obviously what I mean is like a named character dies. We'll keep it at that. A named character dies. And I said it 2026, so I'm assuming it'll probably happen in Elbaf. Not very confident in this, but I just want to make a wild prediction. Someone's gonna die, right? Whether that's in Elbaf or post Elbaf. If Elbaf ends this year, which it probably will. I should have made that a prediction. Elbaf. Well, I said Final War begins this year, so that kind of implies that I think Elbaf's gonna end this year. So yeah, those were all my predictions. I did not put the Man Marked by Flames, Burn Scar, did not put them on this list because Oda has already... Well, okay, the Jump Fest messages aren't the most accurate, but the way Oda's putting it and the way the story's going, if Oda didn't make that mention on the Jump Festa message about the man with the burn scar, 100% returning, I 100% would have put that. I was going to make that a prediction either way, 100%. The reason I didn't was because Oda already said it. So, and I'm pretty confident that Oda's going to deliver on that this year. So I didn't want to put it because it just like I'd be copying. But if Oda didn't say that in his message, it would 100% be there. I'm very confident in. That might be the most confident prediction I have, other than like Loki and Luffy fighting Emu. Man with the burn scar showing up at the end of, or just in this year, right? This year in general, right? Very confident in that. Very, very confident. It's been built up. You know, little by little, Oda's been dropping teases every arc since Wano. It just makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah, so that's why I didn't include that. And then the whole thing about, they're gonna make it to the final island. I don't know. I didn't want to deal with that because people are saying it's a Laugh Tale, it's a Lodestar. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna even. If it is Laugh Tale, they're not gonna even visit it. I'm pretty sure Oda was just referring to the fact that that topic is going to come in discussion again, not that we are arriving. So a lot of people saying Laugh Tale in 2026. Yeah, Laugh Tale is gonna come up in conversation because that's literally the next spot. There's nothing else. We need the last road poneglyph. Like, where else are we gonna go? Right? That's our whole goal. That's all we need to go there. Like, that's been established since Zoe. And it's time, right? There's no other islands we can just fuck around like in. No, like we need to go now. But we won't actually go there. Like, it's gonna come up in discussion. Like, we're not actually gonna I don't think we're not gonna actually arrive in on Laugh Tale this year, like physically. So, but yeah, those were all my predictions for 2025. Those didn't turn out right from last year. These are my predictions for 2026. Hopefully I get it right, and I'll make this kind of an annual thing. But yeah, I had fun making this video. This was kind of fun. It was a little different video, just me yapping, but yeah, again, don't expect different videos. I will most likely 99% chance just keep posting chapter reactions, but these will come annually. So yeah, that's anything else? Nope. Next chapters didn't come out today. It's coming out next week, I think. So hopefully that's good. But yeah, goodbye.